Good evening, everybody. Here we are, it's the last one. Thank you very much for being a part of all of these Facebook Lives. It's been incredibly fun to play, to learn, to deep dive with you. It's been such a fun journey. And today, hopefully you have all, ooh, itchy nose. Hopefully you've all seen the photos and the video that I put up on Facebook a little while ago, introducing you to our beautiful little pony, this little critter back here. She's a marvel. Before I get into any of that, I want to point out the fact that while this might be the end of this skeleton club, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of all of them. I will be taking a couple of weeks off because I've got a schedule that is nutso, and so I don't have the time to give. I don't have a particular skeleton in mind to do this with. Again, this was a bit of a random draw on this one. But in the meantime, if there's anything in the body of the horse that you're really interested in, or you want to see or have a look or see compared between different horses, please let me know. Because the more you can tell me about what you want to see, the more I can make what you want to see and put it in front of you. So I'm happy to make some videos like that or do some more lives in the meantime before we get back to Monday Skeleton Club. So what else do I have to tell you? Oh my goodness. Okay, so for the last time for Skeleton Club, I am going to do another promo code for the Learning Horse Anatomy course online. The link is attached to this video. That code will be live as soon as I make it. No, I promise it will. So that code is going to be live for the next 2 days. Okay, so that will be live until 6:30 on Wednesday, the whatever day is 2 days from now. I don't know the date. But so that will be 20% off the Learning Horse Anatomy course over on my website. Follow the link and it'll take you right there. I have had such great feedback on the course. This little darling doesn't feature on there. You have a whole different range of horses that you're looking at on that one, different presentations in their skeletons, and learning about how the joints work and all of that sort of stuff. Now, I think that's all my housekeeping for the moment. Thank you to everybody who entered the prize draw. I will talk about who won right at the end. But for now, let's look at this little darling, whose name is Ariel. So our beautiful little girl, Ariel, let me get her because I feel weird. Oh, I feel weird looking at her behind me and not here with me. So as you can see, in comparison to me, her head's still kind of huge, but she wasn't a particularly big horse, right? She was only 3 when she was put to sleep, which is why in those photos you can see she's pretty dramatically bum high. She was only a little bubba, had a whole lot of growing left to do in her life. She was a stock horse who was purchased by her final owner through the sales. And she was only quite small. She was only 14 hands. So now let me also say, if there's any information that you would like tonight, please ask me, because there's a lot of stuff that I can tell you about her and about her life. But what I really want to go through with you is what happened, what led her to my door, as it were. Yeah, Sal, she was named after... She's named by her very young owner, who named her after the princess, Ariel, because she was chestnut. She had red hair, which just, makes me, Anyhow, so little Ariel came to her owners through the sales, as I said, to be a lead line horse for a very young person who was very much in love with her beautiful little red-headed horse. And unfortunately, they hadn't noticed the very crooked front leg that Ariel had. So if you had a look at those photos, you can see very clearly in one photo and also in the video that I posted in the comment underneath how she had to load over that right front leg. And ultimately, that was the biggest problem that she had in her life, because she was in a huge amount of pain on that limb, which grew over time. So ultimately, it was through that right front leg that she had to be put to sleep, because her behaviour was turning more and more sour as she was in more and more pain. And the owner asked me to have a look and see what we could find that might have led this beautiful little soul to such a uncomfortable ending in an uncomfortable life. So we had a look at our lovely little kid, and the right front leg, now, as I emphasised very, very heavy-handedly on leg day, on front leg day, as you can see, so these are her radius and ulna. This is her right one, so this is her offside 4. This is the one that was giving her more strife, and this is her near side. Now, remember, this offside one, we have that amazing amount of widening, so we have more bone actually being developed through here. Now, for such a young horse, you can see, as we saw, those growth plates were, mostly closed. This is the bone as it was going to be through her life, but it was so much wider through here already through the amount of loading that she was doing through that leg, as opposed to this left one. Now, you'd probably assume that that would be the opposite, right? If she was really sore on the right one, she'd be loading more into the left. Both front legs were compromised in the knee joint. The right one had worse compromise, so I'm not entirely sure why the right side actually had more load through the bone, more bone laid down in this radius and ulna. Somebody cleverer than me, if you can answer that for me, I would love to hear it. But it feels so ridiculous to pick up a bone this size and say, this is what caused her the most strife. Right? It's crazy. When you've got all this stuff and you look at how big and strong our horses are and how tough they are. Anybody who's worked with me knows that I don't think they're tough at all. They're clearly not. But so this is one of her knee bones, right? This is the right front leg. This is the inside of the right front leg. So if you can imagine or visualize, or if you can see it, if you've got it saved somewhere, the picture or the video of her walking, she doesn't want to load down the inside of her right knee. That's where we have, hopefully in this view you can see it, that's where we have all of that thickening. Remember that bone matrix that got laid down here, that's not the same as the other side. Now the reason for that is on the underside here, you can see that indent right there. Oh, that's good lighting, well done. So you can see this here. Now this is on the underside of this bone. That is a bone cyst. So that indent, that cyst, is what she was trying to stay off of when she was loading onto the outside of that leg. Now, that's the right front. It's the worst one. Now, this is the left front. Same bone, other front leg. Now, this one, remember, I don't want to say remember, I barely remember. But with this one, because of the way that decomp happened, the surface of this bone isn't smooth. It's not clear to see like with the other one, right? That one's super duper clear to see, but this one, it's not. So you can still see through here where there's a bit of a ridge here, also a bone cyst. Now this one's not as bad as that right front. There we go, put them together. Right, so the left front leg, so the near side leg and the offside leg. So these are the problems that were giving her the most issue. Because of these, we had inflammation in the joint of her knees. We had inflammation in the shoulder joints. We had inflammation then through the entire column. In all of the joints, in all of the joint spaces, there was inflammation in there. And then don't forget, we also had that wild imbalance. Get your face out of the way. The wild imbalance then secondary to how she wanted to get off of her knees through her pedal bones, through her coffin bones. We've got a incredible medial lateral imbalance that then has become a part of the bone. So, you know, you could trim to help to balance that, but you're never going to change the balance of the bone once that is what it is. So she was, and we've got the, you know, the bone loss through the front of her toes here as well. Now, in looking at bone cysts, generally speaking, they're not found in the knees. So she was, you know, she marched her own tune. She was anomalous. She did, you know, did things her own way. Possibly just bad luck. Because we don't know the original history of the horse before she arrived at the sales, she arrived with no known information. We don't know. It could be anything, really. It could be that she had some poor nutrition when she was growing up, or when she was in utero. She could have been a drought baby from, you know, out somewhere where there wasn't great nutrition, as her body, as the building blocks were building. Whatever the cause, you know, it's not something that is caused by blunt trauma. It's it's coming from inside the house. This is an inside the body situation that unfortunately is just something she couldn't live with. And as the pain grew inside her body, unfortunately, she told her story with her teeth. And luckily, she had a really brave owner who said, this is not our girl. This is not who she is. And we don't want her to have to put up with this level of pain anymore. And lucky we were able to find something. Hi, Joe. Lucky we were able to find, you know, what her body wanted us to learn. Just the incredible, I can't stress enough the amount of inflammation everywhere, especially through that right front leg. Not only, like, I was just looking back through all of the data that I have on her, through the biceps tendon at the front of her shoulder joint. So that's part of her passive stay apparatus in the front leg, which I don't have a scapula here, but so that's actually her right humerus. So her shoulder joint here, right, the scapula comes up this way. The biceps brachii, rather, and the biceps tendon sits in these two ridges here and attaches up onto the scapula. And that forms like the major tendinous attachment that creates the stay apparatus. Or if a horse is not strong in their chest or something, they'll push forward in their shoulder, and that biceps tendon through there will hold the balance for them. It's an incredibly important part of the horse's body. And for her, that biceps tendon, there was so much blood in there and so much inflammation. It was an incredible thing to see in a body so young. So, you know, I think that her owner made absolutely the right choice for this horse. Yeah, so knees, bad knees, brought down by bad knees, poor baby. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them. I can tell you that, you know, yes, she was bum high from growing, obviously, but also I think that she was then overcompensating by trying to sit back into her hind end as well a fair bit, which is where we see the degenerative changes through her hocks and the attachment of the splint bones onto the cannon bones. There was a fairly substantial amount of inflammation through her hip joints as well. Ooh, and don't let me forget this bad boy. Remember from last week where we found that lump on the outside of this bone, this cannon bone on the hind leg. This is the right hind. Oh, she really buggered up her right side. Her right hind. So in those pictures, you can actually see the scarring on her leg. We don't know what happened. This happened before she ended up at the sales. But this is visible as scarring on the outside. Okay, Emma, let me see what your question is. Is there a reason bone cysts don't usually appear in the knees? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Generally speaking, bone cysts are found mostly in stifles, and stifles and hocks is what I have found in the literature. I don't know why they're not found in the knees. Maybe we're not looking for them. I'm not sure, to be honest. Thinking back to the horses that I have here that I have seen, which admittedly it's small, you know, it's 50 odd horses. This is the only horse that I have, that I've opened up, that I have seen cysts in the knees. Not sure. Bad luck, I reckon. What else can I tell you about her? She was started under saddle. She was very, very lightly ridden. She was worked in hand. She was worked in hand in an attempt to straighten the front leg to see if we could find some happy balance. This is obviously before her behaviour turned as a pain response. But obviously because of what was happening on the inside, there was a limited positive change, I guess is the best way to put it. She just didn't and couldn't load straight down that front leg. And realistically, the left front leg, it wasn't the straightest of limb either, nor was her loading through it. It's just that I think probably the right one is the squeaky wheel that looked the worst. And I'm trying to think back to what our other questions were. Yeah, so she's mare, pony size, 14 hands, 3 years old. Yes, started under saddle. So, thank you. Yeah, and generally speaking in the hinds. And yeah, Suze, you can definitely see them with on X-ray if you get in there and have a look. And I know that when they find them with, generally speaking, they're finding them in young racehorses, obviously, because they get a lot of diagnostic work done. There are procedures in which they can try and stabilize the cyst and help the joint to heal. I'm not sure though, like when you think about it, a knee in relation to a stifle where you're working with a bone this size, if you're trying to, and such highly movable joint and such small joint capsules and all that sort of stuff, if you're trying to surgically heal this, maybe it's not as viable a procedure as looking at, you know, a long bone, which this is just a humerus, so your femur's twice the size. Same with your tibia. So in trying to medically assist in, that felt weird to say, in the hind limb, like in the stifle joint, probably you're going to get a better result than in the knees. But that is, of course, a question for a vet, you know, the person who can X-ray and diagnose all that sort of stuff. I just look at the cool things. But yeah, they definitely can be seen with diagnostics. So that's me done. Thank you all so very much for being here, playing with me, carving this time out of your Monday. I reckon we might next time change Skeleton Club to a different day, maybe. We'll work when it's inconvenient for somebody else, or convenient for somebody else rather. I know that Mondays are a bit of a tough one, but it's hard to find a time that works for everybody. But yeah, absolutely. So like the knees, there's no muscle there. And also to try and get the loading off the knee as it heals, and to immobilize it, like there's a lot of logistical issues when you're looking at trying to help these delicate, giant, lovable things in any way, shape or form. So thank you all. Thank you so very much. As always, any extra questions, please pop them onto the post. The winner of our competition and prize pack is Amy Bushby, who nailed it with the most answers right. Thank you for everybody who participated and everybody who's been here. Have a great night. See you guys.